the Twins, obviously a busy day today. First out on the golf course was TK golfing, Pat, and who was the low shooter there for the Twins at the golf tournament today?
No, we didn't see TK on the golf course today, but Ron Gardenhire, our third base coach, was there, and his team actually came in with the winning score today.
Pat Klinger joining us now, the Director of Marketing for the Minnesota Twins. Pat, there is a vote coming up in St. Paul in November. Could you tell us a little more about that and how it relates to this issue?
Sure, Tom. There will be a referendum in St. Paul on November 2nd that will give the residents of St. Paul an opportunity to vote as to whether they want to increase their sales tax in the city a half cent, and those proceeds would go towards building a new Twin Stadium in St. Paul. Patrick,
that would be a riverfront type stadium along the river, proposed idea right now?
Well, the exact location hasn't been finalized yet. There are really a number of different options that are on the table as far as the location is concerned. But it would be a state-of-the-art outdoor stadium in St. Paul.
Inside the Carleton County Courthouse, a packed hearing on whether the original public defenders of Donald Blum, Rodney Brodeen, and Joanne Piper Maurer should be kept on the case. Judge Dale Wolf removed the two, accusing them and the public defender's office of botching a plea agreement in the kidnapping and murder of Katie Poyer. Chief District Judge John Oswald was brought in to hear the motions involving Judge Wolf. Arguing on behalf of the public defender's office, Fred Friedman. Friedman told Oswald, "I am not going to order my employees to plead someone guilty. The final decision to plea or not to plea is Donald Blum's call and no one else." The public defenders claim Blum contacted them by phone and letter, asking them to be his lawyers, after Judge Wolf removed them and had temporarily appointed private defense attorney Anthony Torres. Today in court, Torres said this was not his battle, his war, and he was merely here to protect his client.
Whether I proceed or not, don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out probably Monday or somewhere in the near future. But it's always been the situation where I was brought in just to protect Mr. Blum while this matter was going to be resolved.
Also at issue, whether Judge Wolf overstepped his bounds trying to garner a plea agreement, calling Fred Friedman, asking him to step in and save a plea deal. When the deal fell through, Wolf wanted Friedman kicked out of office. Wolf did not testify in court today, but Friedman addressed the issue, saying, "I have never had orders like that served on me in 27 years. Served on me with no hearing, just served." The court ruled today that a district judge can't fire a public defender. That pleased the state's top public defender.
I'm glad that we had a chance for everybody to make a record and get their point of view out in the open court.
You feel good about it?
I'm glad that that took place.
All of the attorneys in court say that they want this matter quickly resolved so that the trial can get underway. Yet the state public defender's office says if Judge Wolf is allowed to stay on the case, that's grounds for an appeal which could delay the trial up to a year. In Carleton County, Maureen Tallarico, News 6.
SpaghettiOs, yum. Flour.
Okay. Yes, they'll be barrels out for a while?
For all day.
All the day.
Potatoes, cake. SpaghettiOs.
SpaghettiOs, yum.
Wow.
We have to put his face. We have to put his Facebook cap in there. What was the slogan that we came up with?
Smile.
Kind of off the record, what's so interesting? The most difficult thing about an impact study like this is to estimate the new visitors. Too many impact studies on tourism assumes that if you have 100 people register at the gate, that those 100 people are all new visitors. Only new visitors count in an impact. If it's just a visitor that's doing something different, that's not an impact.
As if warming up for a big game, these Edina first graders work out the wiggles.
Remember this morning when I told you that somebody was going to be coming to our class today?
A mystery reader from a mystery team.
The Bears made a Vikings flip.
Hi.
Welcome.
Can we come in?
Vikings co-owner Charlene McCombs arrives after another game went up in smoke.
Fire, fire, said Mrs. McGuire. Where, said Mrs. Bear.
The Bears dealt the Vikings another unexpected loss yesterday.
Last year was the dream year, and Red told me early on, he said, don't expect this all the time. This is not the way it will be, but it's a little disappointing.
It's Vikings wine line part duh.
Disappointment rules on sports talk radio. The mystery team confuses fans.
I don't see the fire that there was last year. I don't see the excitement.
Winning football games and scoring points goes a lot deeper than just putting out, a bunch of stars on offense.
I don't expect much more than, what they're doing this season right now with the team they've got.
How old are you?
But back at school,
How do you think I am?
not a single question about the Vikings' disappointing season.
I expected a lot more questions like that. I said out in the hall, I think we should wear a mask when we go in there.
As politely as the kids collect some trinkets, they hold their tongues until McCombs leaves.
We didn't think of it. They've done some good blocks.
Perhaps in a first grade class, there's a lesson for Vikings fans to keep the faith.
28-year-old Scott Richards suddenly found himself treading water in the shipping lane off Eagle Harbor. It's dark. The waves are cresting at 6 to 8 feet. The lake is a cool 49 degrees.
Number one, the shock of falling that distance would be hard for most people to get over, let alone the realization once you're there that you're left. Nobody's seen him fall off the ship. The ship kept going, so he's left middle of Lake Superior.
Richards worked on this ore ship, the SS Buckeye. While on deck last night, he noticed several loose barrels and went to batten them down.
Seas were a little rough and things were banging around, so he was concerned that when he seen they were loose. Well, while he was doing that, he said he slipped and fell overboard.
For 5 miles, Richards paddled towards Eagle Harbor. Once there, dripping wet and suffering from hypothermia, he simply passed out, waking at around 3 o'clock and making his way to the closest house.
I thought he's drunk, and but then I talked to him a little bit. He didn't talk too much because he was, in like a stupor from being in water, I imagine, for so long.
Captain William Yowell of the vessel Charles Wilson says a spill off the side of an ore boat is both dangerous and unusual.
Well, it is very rare. I've only known of about 3 instances in my 30 years of sailing, so.
Disputes between Judge Dale Wolf and Donald Blum's public defenders began shortly after Blum refused to honor his agreement to plead guilty to the kidnapping and murder of 19-year-old Katie Poyer. Judge Wolf accused 5 defense attorneys of ethics violations and wanted 2 disbarred, including Chief Public Defender Fred Friedman. He booted the defenders off the case and blamed them for botching the agreement that would have put Blum behind bars for life.
In turn, the public defender's office asked that Wolf be removed from the case. Judge John Oswald granted that request. Court documents show Judge Oswald decided Wolf's involvement with the case was too personal and emotional, and his future impartiality must be questioned. He states the court had no choice but to remove him from the case and reassign all future proceedings. Wolf's removal overturns his previous orders in the case, putting public defenders Rodney Brodeen and Joanne Piper Maurer back on the case. As for Anthony Torres, he's off the case again. Wolf had ordered the defense attorney back on the case 2 weeks ago. Now Oswald says Torres is relieved of all further responsibility in the case. Prior to Oswald's ruling, the public defenders had indicated they would appeal their case to a higher court. His ruling prevents what could have been another lengthy delay in the case against Donald Blum. In Duluth, Jody Grayson, News 6.
Units. The unit had been shut down earlier in the day. It was being prepared for scheduled maintenance. There were 5 operators in the unit at the time. We responded to the fire with both in-house personnel and the Superior Fire Department. About 11 o'clock, the unit was secured and the all clear was sounded.
Sitting here this morning and talking to the people here from in North Carolina brings back all the memories of 2+ years ago, and I just think we are here to offer them support and to let them know that they're not alone.
We got a lot of help when we had the flood from across the nation. People that had other disasters, other floods, came in and helped us. So if we could be some little part of your recovery, we came here to add what happened to us, to tell our story, and hopefully that if they need help in the future, we'll be there to assist them.
could have been a sprinkler system that went off in that building too. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, probably was.
I have never get angered. I'm trying to, myself and my family are trying to make sense out of this whole tragedy, and it's real hard, but I guess
Okay, I'll hold that. You okay. So, safety is the most important.
We're gonna go to Halloween candy after this. And we're gonna get face painted and everything. Do you wanna go get your face painted?
Boxes of supplies have yet to be unpacked at the business Scan Health on the 3rd floor of the Technology Village.
It gets stressful. It's like we talk about it's like being a marriage, running a company together. And you know, if you've ever moved in with your spouse to a house, and you know all the stress and strains of, you know, everything A to Z is not going to all be there right away when you move in. And
Scan Health CEO Dale Pearson and President Alan Sabrowski started the business in 1997. The two met during football at Woodland Junior High and worked at Bridgman's in high school. Years later, they combined forces again, not to sell ice cream, but scanning systems for home health care companies in 27 states.
So everyone's connected correctly.
Data is collected from patients, then scanned into a specialized software program.
I'm a registered nurse, and I worked in home care and in hospital environment. And being able to put a group of nurses together and do things the way we felt they should be done was very challenging and very rewarding. To be a part of Scan Health and what we're doing across the nation goes way beyond whatever dreams we had initially.
Employing 19 people, Scan Health is the first tenant inside the controversial multi-million-dollar complex. A lot of pressure is being put on developers to load up the building with high-paying businesses after anchor tenant DMR dropped out.
It's a little scary being the first one because, again, you know, it's basically some uncharted waters for Duluth, Minnesota. And so it just puts you a little more in the spotlight maybe than you really want to be.
But Scan Health is focusing not on the politics, but on the future success of the business.
Is the lobby going to be ready by that time? The lobby's supposed to be ready next week. Okay, good.
So as construction crews put finishing touches on office windows and Tom begins unpacking the stack of boxes, business is underway on the 3rd floor of the Tech Village. It just may be a little hard getting to the 3rd floor for a few more days.
I was supposed to have a hard hat on, and I didn't know that, so I came in without one. I hope an OSHA person wasn't nearby.
In Duluth, Maureen Tallarico, News 6.
See you later, Maureen. All you gotta do is that.
Farmers line up with their precious cargo at Hayfield area grain elevators today. Despite poor prices, some of this grain is as good as gold. Here, another donation weighs in.
300 bushels. My brother had cancer before, and I feel like, heck, I could do this just for a good cause. I like.
19-year-old Michael Johnson is the cause, recently diagnosed with cancer.
His sister's in our grade.
Today, fellow FFA members hit the county roads trying to harvest farmers and some of their corn.
Yeah, I can load you guys home. Okay.
Whatever farmers give, the FFA turns to gold, cash that goes to Michael Johnson and his family.
Well, his father died just this last June, and it's kind of a bad deal because he's just having it this fall now. It's got to be really tough for the family.
Even in these lean times, farmers give.
It's once in a while easier donating something you got a lot of, which is corn. If you ask for cash, that's a little harder to come by.
For the FFA teens, it's off to more farms and back to the elevators to raise money for a friend.
It's sad that he's got it and everything, and we're glad that we can help.
Hi, are you Emily? Hi, I'm Dan from the fire department. How are you doing?
Good.
We got something for you.
It's not every day that firefighters come to your house with good news. Today was the exception. They're making a special call on Emily Hyde, a courageous teen who's been battling leukemia and winning. The firefighters are here for a happy cause, giving Emily a computer and other goodies supplied by the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
This is really way more than we expected.
And what else? There's your printer.
Just to get a laptop.
And the fun didn't end with the computer.
Who's afraid of heights? I'm the coward of the family.
Emily and her family got to check out Duluth's newest fire truck. For the fire crew, this morning's mission was one of the happier moments. Most of their duties aren't this fun.
No, they're not. You know, a lot of what we see isn't fun stuff, and you know, people aren't happy about seeing us in front of their door. So this is special.
This is high. I have to say that.
Wow.
High. Oh my. Oh my.
Cool. We're past the treetop now.
No.
Passers-by may have thought something important was going on with the fire trucks, flashing lights, and the ladder pointed skyward. Rest assured, it was something important. Duluth's men and women in uniform were warming someone's spirits, making a wish come true, and saving a precious smile.
Well, thank you very much to everybody.
In Duluth, Jason Rice, News 6.
The small, normally quiet community of Kelliher was shocked to hear the news that a city leader and his wife were both found shot to death in their small home. Even more shocking, their deaths have been ruled by a county coroner a murder-suicide.
It actually looked like they probably happened very right together, that he probably killed her and just probably almost immediately killed himself.
51-year-old Darrell Latero owned the bank in town. He had been the mayor and a councilman and also oversaw a pull-tab gambling operation that supported the Kelliher Firefighters Relief Association.
The investigation.
Beltrami County Sheriff says that fund was missing money, and just hours before the gunfire at this house, Latero met with investigators looking into irregularities into the gambling operation.
You know, it could be that this investigation had something to do with it, but like I say, that's really speculation. There is no evidence to indicate any solid reason why.
The sheriff says the two bodies were found in a bedroom. No note was found.
It's tragedy. It's real tough to even comprehend that it happened.
Residents of this close-knit community found it hard to talk about what happened. The Laterals not only were known through the bank, but Sally Latero worked here at the post office.
I go to the same church that Darrell and Sally did, and they were very good people.
You said just
this
because
teenager had just gotten a loan from Latero and says everyone liked him.
I thought he was number one person, number one banker for me. and I wouldn't have this nice pickup now if it wasn't for him.
Smile.
Thank you.
Halloween from KBJR. This is just such a great opportunity for us to get outside on a real fresh, crispy day and meet and greet a lot of our favorite viewers who watch a lot of our PBS 8 shows. It's really a nice opportunity for us to thank everyone for all the support they give us all year long and see all the cute costumes and happy smiles, and it's just a fun day all around. We love being here. You say hi?
Take a picture with us.
This scary house is really fun.
Mark and Michelle, the careful, extensive questioning of potential jurors started this afternoon in Donald Blum's federal weapons trial. Now, this case is separate from the state charges of kidnapping and killing Katie Poyer. Now, one of the most important questions that they were asking jurors in this case was whether or not they could understand that they were indeed two different cases. They also talked to potential jurors about what they've seen on television or read in the newspaper. Now, everyone said that they did have some exposure to news reports in this, mostly about the state murder and kidnapping charges. Most, but not all of the potential jurors say they could set that aside if they are called on to consider this case. They were also questioned about their feelings towards guns and hunting. 8 people were questioned today, and the judge says that this could last for another day. He doesn't think that a jury will be seated until possibly Wednesday morning. Now, the federal charges in this case are based on a law that says it's illegal for a convicted felon to possess firearms. In a pretrial motion, both sides agreed to call Blum a convicted felon in the legal wording in this case, but that means that they will not go into the nature of those prior convictions during the trial. Also, in this pretrial hearing, the judge ruled to admit as evidence the results of a search of Blum's property back in June. And in that search, guns and ammunition were discovered. How long could this trial last? Well, it could take about a week. As complicated as the state charges has been, this could be relatively straightforward. There are the prosecutor says that he expects about 1 to 2 days of expert witness testimony with about 20 potential witnesses, and the defense say they have about 5 witnesses. So as I said, this could take as little as a week. Mark and Michelle.
Got numbers of 3-on-2. Oh my goodness, what a jam!
This year's Golden Gophers won't even have the chance to go for the gold, not after the school decided to ban postseason play.
As we all know, postseason play is a significant part of any basketball program. This sanction effectively addresses, at least in part, the misconduct that occurred.
University President Mark Udolph's referring to allegations of academic fraud, allegations that resulted in the benching of 4 players during the NCAA tournament in March. And knowing that the NCAA would eventually impose sanctions, the U decided to take the initiative and punish itself.
You want to do something strong enough that it shows you're acting in good faith and you're cleaning up your act, but not something that puts the team and Dan in a bad situation because you've imposed penalties that would not have been imposed by the NCAA.
Those 4 players are no longer on the team, and the coach who was implicated in the cheating scandal no longer coaches. But the U knew more would have to be done to right the wrong.
There's a lot of human carnage that's gone on since this was identified as an issue. There are people who don't work here any longer. The university is going to be spending nearly $1.5 million in an investigation to get to the bottom of this.
The school's investigation will be complete early next month, but Udolph says there was enough evidence to take steps now. But those steps are difficult ones for the team's new coach and the players who hadn't done anything wrong.
This is the ultimate sacrifice for kids, and we have to go over, when this is over, and face a group of players that have a limited time in their career, and this is the ultimate sacrifice for them.
At first glance, it may look like any other high school in the Northland, but there's more than just hall monitors keeping an eye on students here. 38 newly installed cameras are watching.
The main reason is for student safety, as well as education. Our number one goal here is to provide a safe environment for students. So if something were to happen, with the Columbine issue, we don't want anything like that happening here. So we take precautions, and if we can head something off before it starts, I think they pay for themselves very quickly.
Some of the students say when they first heard the idea that the school was going to be filled with cameras, they were kind of intimidated, thinking somebody might be watching them all the time. But now that they've been in here for a couple of months, it's really no big deal.
If you walk around and you have nothing to hide, then it shouldn't matter.
I guess it was a little odd at first, just all the cameras getting in, but I mean, I can see where it'd be a good thing. A lot of people were wondering, what the purpose is, if maybe they're going to be using the cameras, to try to catch kids doing bad stuff. But I think that it's good for the safety of the school, to watch out for things that might happen. People might do dumb stuff at the school, and it's good to have that in here to keep the school safe and to keep our possessions here safe. So
you had 4 grams, but now not 50 milliliters. Now it's 100 milliliters.
And to help kids focus on chemistry or whatever other class they happen to be in. The cameras will eventually be hooked up to monitors with a continuous tape running 24/7.
They watch doorways and hallways mainly. Yeah. There are none in classrooms, and there are some on the exterior of the building.
The system costs the school $60,000, but administrators say if the electronic eyes can save one life or prevent another Columbine, it's well worth the price. In Grand Rapids, Maureen Tallarico, News 6.
All right, guys, why don't we just keep on walking?
At 8 o'clock this morning, Greg Gilbert strapped on his walking shoes and hit the streets of Duluth.
I enjoy it. It's what I like to do about campaigning is getting out and talking to people one-on-one, getting to look at their yards, their houses, their businesses. Excuse me, guys, can I interrupt you? I'm Greg Gilbert. I'm running for mayor.
Greg. Besides walking, Greg makes an occasional stop to say hello and answer a few questions.
Are there any issues that are important to you, or?
What's your views on the Edison School?
On the Edison School? I think that, they've done a lot of good things. The people that I know that have kids in the Edison School love it.
His goal is to walk from one end of Duluth to the other, approximately 30 miles, carrying with him a backpack filled with clothes, a few signs, and a smile.
Hey, Will! Hey, there's your man! And it's fun when you do something like this. People, they have fun and they can wave and they can say, yes, we're supporting you, and that just really helps energize me and keeps me going.
The ex-marathoner now spends most of his time sitting behind a desk. He hopes that by getting out, he'll not only get more exercise, but also a few more votes.
Good morning. You look shocked.
Uh-oh.
From Proctor, so I can't even vote.
I hope so, but just being out, being visible, meeting people is really the objective, and I think we've accomplished that and more. Thank you very much.
See you at the polls.
See you at the polls.
In Duluth, Jody Grayson, News 6.
This report was filed in July, and we're just a couple of days before the election, and really what it amounts to is desperation politics at its worst. And it's something I guess I expected to happen, and it's unfortunate that it has, because we've kept the high road. We've talked about issues all along, and to have supporters of my opponent do these kinds of things, on top of the phony press release that one of his supporters issued a week or so ago, it just is not good. Because I brought a campaign of positive, talking about the things that we've done and places, you know, things that we need to do and things that we're going to do even better. And to have this negative and attacks on character assassinations is the worst thing. It's hard to live with.
How you doing?
And together, and it was kind of funny. We were out in Gary, and that's where they were shooting the commercials.
Yeah.
And I'm just following.
We got out there at 1 o'clock and started working the start.
I've gotten to know people that I didn't know before. I've been to places that I haven't been to before, and it's just the excitement and enthusiasm that makes a difference. Because I think in the end, people want to enjoy politics. They want to know that they can have confidence in the people that are running for office, that they're approachable, that they can see what they're doing, and be a part of the fun. And that's what I think we've been able to capture here.
Yeah, well, Sunday afternoon.
Sunday afternoon. There we go. Gotta get people.
Somebody's getting the idea here.
Stores is such that we feel that we'll be at the checkout. They'll have the opportunity then to decide what type of donation, $1, $5, $10, or $20 that they would like to donate directly to the lighthouse. So this is a painless and I think very effective, straightforward way of gathering contributions.
Mark and Michelle, court ended early today, so Donald Blum could decide whether he will take the stand in his own defense. His lawyer says he advises strongly against it. He says that prosecutors could bring up all of Blum's sex crimes, and Blum's testimony could be used in a future trial for the state's kidnapping and murder charges. But Blum told the judge that this is a life or death trial for him. He said, whether it's 10 years or 20 years, to me, it's very important. Blum says he has throat cancer and would die behind bars. The defense did call several witnesses this morning, including many of Blum's family members. Blum was wiping his eyes while his daughters testified that they never saw their father handle or shoot any guns during their few brief visits to his property near Moose Lake. His son says he and a friend shot up to 1,000 rounds there once, while his father stayed inside to cook and clean the trailer. Blum's brother also testified that he hadn't seen Blum with any gun during his visit there. And he says he blames the media for much of his brother's troubles. And he also blames them for not telling his brother's side of the story.
You guys have been kind of criminal on this. You have not portrayed the other side. And if I sat down and I thought about what each one of you guys have done, you're all a pretty gunning black bunch.
Blum's lawyer spent the afternoon talking with his client and says he knows what Blum will do. We'll have to wait until the trial resumes again tomorrow morning before we can find that out. Mark and Michelle.
We've been successful, and I've said it many times. I've rattled off, and I can do it in my sleep, the great jobs that have come to this community, and we're going to continue to do that. We're going to double our efforts and find the jobs for the kids to be able to stay in this community. The technology village is going to be a tremendous success, and we should have an announcement in a few days about a major company that has said they want to be a part of the technology village, and we're going to make that. In the Bayfront Park, you know, we've got some good news on the Bayfront Park that we're going to
Like I said, the prosecution's evidence was fairly overwhelming.
Jurors talked for less than an hour before they found Donald Blum guilty of possessing firearms as a convicted felon. They say prosecutors showed beyond a reasonable doubt that Blum knowingly possessed the guns investigators found on his property near Moose Lake. Blum's lawyer said many of the witnesses who claimed they saw Blum carry or shoot the guns were either lying or mistaken. But that didn't prevent a guilty verdict.
I don't know that they ever tried a tougher case than this, so I'm disappointed, but I'm not shocked.
But that's exactly what Katie Poyer's family hoped to hear. They say this relieves some of the pressure they feel to get Blum convicted on the state murder and kidnapping charges.
This is the greatest day we've had since May 26th. Seems like everything been against us. This is one of our highs.
But Blum's family says the publicity surrounding the state case prevented Blum from getting a fair trial in this one.
I just don't believe he got a fair trial because of this right here.
They say Blum decided it wouldn't be worth it to testify in his own defense.
I don't believe it was his intent to take the stand in the first place. He just, I mean, it's his life, it's his trial. He sits by and sees all these people making the decisions for him. I believe he felt that he wanted to say something. But I believe Holmstrom talked him out of it.
Right now, Blum has asked to remain in the Anoka County Jail, and sentencing is set for January of next year. In the meantime, a special report will be compiled to help the judge decide what that sentence will be. But Blum could spend the rest of his life behind bars. In Minneapolis, I'm Kim Kaiser, News 6.
A California company has put together a company that taps into medical databases nationwide to produce detailed reports on physicians. They provide everything from schooling and certification to any disciplinary actions or malpractice suits filed against them.
We trust them because they're doctors, but I mean, look what happened to me. I almost lost my life.
Kathy Lee is suing her doctor, claiming she nearly bled to death because for nearly 15 months he failed to diagnose a kidney problem.
Had she actually looked up on this as to this particular doctor, she would have found that he had a prior lawsuit. At that point, I think she would have said, listen, he's not taking care of me. He did have a prior problem. Maybe I need to see another doctor.
Kathy's doctor claims she didn't follow doctor's orders in return for tests. That's for the court to decide. In the meantime, there's now a way for Kathy and others to check up on their doctor. It's called Patient Watch.
I think managed care has created a situation where the patient has to become their own advocate. And to do that, they have to have information.
Through Patient Watch, you can order a complete dossier on your doctor for as little as $35, and the internet is loaded with similar information for free. The American Medical Association website at amaassociation.org can answer questions like, where did your doctor go to med school? Where was his residency? And what's his hospital affiliation? And the American Board of Medical Specialties site at certifieddoctor.org can tell you if your doctor is board certified. Not all doctors are thrilled with this access to information.
Good physicians have judgments against them, and they probably did nothing wrong, but the nuisance value or the value of defending the physician is to the point where the insurance company will settle a case rather than take it all the way to court.
Still, if you have the information, then you can make your own informed decision. And getting a positive report on the doctor you've chosen can make a patient feel more confident about the procedure they're about to have.
Millions of trees blown down last July from Ely to the Gunflint Trail are drying out, creating explosive conditions. Experts say the threat to canoeists in resorts bordering the wilderness is the greatest in history.
You're going to be looking at fires that are very difficult to suppress and contain.
The Forest Service has outlined a plan to reduce the threat, including deliberately burning thousands of acres to remove dead trees, banning campfires in blowdown areas, developing a better firefighting plan, removing downed trees near buildings, and a key element, speeding up evacuation.
We were terrified. We were just thankful we didn't get hit by a tree because there must have been 300 or more trees down.
Home video shot by Eric and Becky McMullen is a graphic example of how easily the Gunflint Trail can be blocked. The same thing could happen in a fire, trapping vacationers.
How do we provide for a safety situation for the public as well as for firefighters?
Safety without damaging the wilderness experience will be a challenge for the Forest Service for years to come. Dave Jench, News 6.
Tough time getting us out of our swimsuits into a uniform if we had to. We were much more. I went to Maple Grove because that's
Your left, a war.
It's a day that we honor the people that have served our country, whether in a time of war or a time of peace. Military service is always a trying thing, and it's always a great commitment that one has to make. I remember when I just uniform if we had to. We were much more.
Your left, a World War I veteran, 105.
Tough time getting us out of our swimsuits into a uniform if we had to. We were much more. I went to Maple Grove because that's
Your left, a World War I veteran, 105 years.
The United States as well as
At UMD's Student Assistance Center, long lines and frustrated faces.
If you are maybe even a senior, you might be registering after freshman, which isn't supposed to be right. I registered probably after the new class of freshmen that came in. This year my queue time It's messed up. The registration is supposed to start next week. I don't register until the 3rd.
Registering for classes, even paying for bills, was a huge hassle this fall. The system couldn't bill students or figure out financial aid, so the university had to loan out money so students could pay expenses, while the university was taking in no cash.
We decided that we were not going to charge tuition and fees until we could disperse financial aid, and that meant a lot of extra work. We've advanced almost $2 million worth of aid so students who were living off campus could pay their rent, so they could buy their books.
Bills for the fall semester and financial aid statements for spring are just arriving in the mail now. In fact, extra staff is brought in to handle stuffing envelopes. But now, with major glitches worked out, some of the current bills still aren't correct.
I got charged for the computer access fee, and I haven't used it, and they told me I didn't have it before, so I haven't used the computers all year. Then now I'm charged for it, so I'm trying to figure that out.
The problems with PeopleSoft are not UMD's exclusively. Software glitches have been reported at other universities out of the 420 PeopleSoft serves. And the problems are not cheap. The University of Minnesota already has spent over $10 million in extra money.
Anytime you bring up a new system, you're going to have some glitches. You've got to work out the bugs, and there were certainly a number of bugs here.
Despite the problems and extra cost at UMD and nationwide, University of Wisconsin Superior staffers chose PeopleSoft over other vendors, bugs and all.
Of course we're nervous. These are the core business systems that operate the university, and so they have huge impact on how we conduct business.
Anderson says his staff is already working toward a smooth transition to PeopleSoft when UWS students use it in January for fall 2000 admission. Meantime, students at UMD hope this coming semester, PeopleSoft will at least get a passing grade.
You really can't do nothing except for wait and see if those systems straightens out.
Maureen Tallarico, News 6.
Where are we at now? I don't even...
Back there.
Well, this year the parade is going to be taking the route that we established last year, which goes by our building at Canal Park. And we've made arrangements so that we have a smooth operation of the parade. Everything's going to be running without any gaps or delays or disruptions.
This is the largest unit in this year's parade, and those new uniforms are fabulous.
Yeah, they look great. Next up is Mayor Gary Doty of...
So I didn't commit the murder. No, if I did it, I could see going down for the rest of my life, you know, but I didn't do it.
But you were there when it happened. And you know who did it?
Yeah, that's what who did it.
Who did it?
Pat? Yeah. Pat Peterson, killed his own dad.
Earlier today, the testimony from one of the suspect's friends tied Williams to the murder plot. He says he heard Williams and Peterson discussing plans to commit the murder.
What was Dave's behavior or demeanor when he was making those statements?
More or less, the way he directed himself was it was a shame, but it had to be done.
Was he making any other movements or gestures when he made these comments?
He made a gesture as if he was cocking a gun, like a 9mm pistol that cocks on the top.